too. Hey, Sylvette, how are you?
Rosemary didn't advise me that you were coming instead of.
I'll spare you. I'm getting over a cold.
Thank you for sparing
I'm
me.
feeling much better, but I just out of precaution, I don't want
No, I totally understand.
to get anyone sick.
We are recording due to last month's technical difficulties, so
Okay. Yeah.
He's a solicitor. He should know that there's nothing he should say now with a microphone in the room.
Are you recording right now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I'm trying to advise as they come in.
Sure.
So, our nominations, right, our election of officers don't have to take place till March.
Yeah, it's not this month.
For April's voting, right? I was trying to read up on the bylaws about that.
I don't have it in front of me. I just know that the vote's not this month.
Right, and so the slate has to be submitted to the board in the March meeting to vote in April, right? That's what I
don't know if does it say, do you have the bylaw? Does it say that? I'm not sure off the top of my head. I mean, if it's ready before,
How are
I
you,
don't
sir?
think there's anything that would prohibit doing it earlier.
So here is the revision of the bylaws that happened in February, and here is
Yeah.
the amended.
Presence at breaks. I don't know to what extent.
By the time I get through your, this can't be disclosed for 427 more reasons, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Mike, we do have a quorum. Okay.
We do?
Yeah. Call needs 1 minute. John Hayes is running about 15 minutes behind schedule, and Glenn Geisinger is.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Chuck.
Okay, so
Good, how you doing?
Okay.
Hey,
Matt, how you doing?
I'm all right. Busy.
My daughter got elite status up in Boston.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she got top 40 ranks. I'm trying to fly up for the day.
She's an elite runner. What's she?
Marathon.
Yeah, but what's her? Where'd she get the? Where'd she qualify? Where'd she get the elite qualification?
She won Burlington.
Okay.
Second, Philly.
Really? What's her last? Is it
Vido,
Diacon?
V-I-D-O.
VIDO.
We're just out in Colorado. She won Wall Ascension.
And we snuck
2,500 vertical.
So we went to the cusp.
I was out there 3 weeks ago,
It's just
and
up the road.
hooked up with a friend from grad school, and I was like, I need to do like 9
Those
miles.
are just a few minutes,
And,
Glenn is on his way in, so we'll wait for Glenn.
He told me
John
that
Hayes
we were
over
gonna
here.
do 9 miles
Late.
and 3,000 feet of climbing.
I was looking,
She said she could take
So,
blood.
John Hayes is gonna be
I go out there, my family lives out
Okay,
there,
Glenn is
so
calling
my
in.
brother lives out there, my father-in-law lives out there.
Oh,
And
okay.
so we're out there in July. And last year I did a half, like I landed, went to sleep, did a half the next day.
Okay, so the cusp
For whatever reason, I do find with the altitude, I think a lot of other people struggle, but that's cool. So she's gonna be,
pretty much over.
is she gonna be competitive in the,
Nah,
I've done it
nah, she did the Olympic qualifier 2 years ago in LA.
in LA? That's my last, I'm registered for Chicago, and that, in LA is like the only kind of major that, in the US that is still kind of waiting for me, and I'm trying to figure out when I'm gonna do that.
Caught a hot day, it was tough.
Yeah, it was bad a couple years ago. And then last year was bad too, but for a different reason. It was like it had rain or something last year. But yeah, I'm hoping we have good weather this year. Last year was like the best weather you could have possibly had. Well, it actually got hot at the end. Your daughter probably finished before it got hot.
So bad? So bad?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So has she done Boston before? Is it her first time? Last year I ran it. I'm doing the same thing kind of this year where I ran it as like a part of training for Cincinnati. And so I just kind of like took my time. It was just
Good morning.
morning.
I'm told we do have a quorum, so welcome to the February 27th meeting of the Lehigh Northampton Airport Authority. I can say somewhat parenthetically, but the next to my last is chair, so. But I'm looking forward to today's meeting and the balance of the couple months. But in any case, would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So that, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Brian Dames.
Here.
Chuck Diacon.
Here.
Mike Dowd.
Here.
Frank Facciano.
Here.
Glenn Geisinger. John Hayes. Larry Hamburger.
Present.
Neil Copeland. Ed Lozano.
Present.
Jeff Matskin. Ted Rosenberger. Mike Schwer. Matt Turner.
Here.
Hey, Mike.
And Chris Worley.
Here. Very good. Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment? Rebecca, would you introduce yourself? We're lucky and happy today to have the Deputy Director of Administration of Northampton County join us, so thank you for being with us, and thank you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Becky Bartlett, and we're doing a lot of urban administration, which is new.
Yep.
And we're just going around and trying to get introduce ourselves and find out what all our boards, authorities, and commissions need.
Terrific. Thank you. You're always welcome here. Thank you. Anybody else care to address the authority this morning? And if not, let's move on to the next item, the action item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the January 30th meeting. They were distributed to you electronically. Do we have any additions or corrections to those minutes? Then we have a motion to adopt the minutes as distributed.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Second? All those, I will abstain from those, I was not at that meeting, but all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Excellent, thank you. What I'd like to do, if I might, is to ask for an executive committee meeting to deal with a personnel issue. And we do contemplate taking action once we return from that executive committee meeting, but I'll entertain a motion to move into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. Frank, you have a second?
Second.
Eddie, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Then we'll ask all those other than board members and authority members to leave for a few minutes. I don't think this will take very long, but we will contemplate taking action once we return. So please excuse yourselves.
And as you can see, the headline number is we were up 11.8% in passenger traffic for the month of January, which is really nice. I mean, last year at this time, we were kind of treading water, slightly down, but now we seem to have gotten some momentum in the last quarter of last year, spilling over into January of this year. We've broken that down a little bit more to give you some specifics. So where is that coming from? As you can see, Allegiant is leading the charge with 27% increase versus last year. However, though, the good news is the legacy carriers are up. As you remember from our monthly reports last year, the legacy carriers were always slightly down, if not, meaningfully down, and Allegiant was offsetting that. Well, this month, and granted it's only a month, but Allegiant continues a strong positive trend, 27% up versus last year, same time, but the legacy carriers are up 4.8%. So that's resulting in a nice 11.8% traffic increase for the month of January.
The Allegiant jump, I assume, is directly related to the increased number of routes they're running out of here. Do we have an idea what the load factors are? Are they happy with how full the planes are so far?
Yes, they are. I don't know if we have numbers on the load factor, but we are traditionally in that 90%.
90%.
Okay, good.
So nice January from a traffic standpoint, and what's good is this is on the heels of a strong fourth quarter last year. So not a blip in the radar just yet. Obviously, again, just 1 month, but we hope this trend continues, and if it does, we should have a great year. So next chart, Sylvette. Thank you. So here's a little bit more explanation as to why we had a very high net income performance, significantly ahead of plan. So as you can see, 172,000, Todd had done the calculation of net revenue came from the result of parking and ground handling activity, which is a nice flow through from those increased cargo and passenger traffic increases, and then the increased non-aviation services as well. So what's good is that increased air traffic flows through nicely to the bottom line, especially when it's Allegiant, because they're a more profitable revenue source for us because we handle the ground handling activity as well. And then just the incremental flights leads to more parking, and more parking is highly profitable. So that's good news on both fronts. So you can see the nice flow through impact of the increased cargo and air service from Allegiant in particular. Secondly, again, highlighting the expense management. We see some of it was timing related in terms of some expenses. Some of it was tied to lower wages due to one headcount not being filled at this point just yet. And then some of that savings was offset by higher repairs, utilities, and maintenance expenses. But in the end, staff did a great job of coming in below plan on expenses. And that's been, consistent for, I'd say, the past 2 years, 3 years since I've been on the board. So they've done an excellent job of managing expenses. And then here's that one extraordinary item. So you see it's significant, $264,000 of net income. And this is a one-time hit, a positive hit, was due to a land sale easement that took place with a real estate transaction that was just concluded recently. So you got $264,000 that came in unexpected, a nice surprise, and that's why our net income is close to $400,000 in the month of January, where normally it would have came in at roughly break even, if not positive $100,000. So you have a pretty big swing due to this one extraordinary item. So with that, any questions on the more detailed analysis on net income? Okay, one more report here, and I'll pass this off to Todd, which is our cash flow projections. I think, from a general standpoint, we're good on cash, but Todd, is there anything you want to highlight here?
No, I think the one thing that we wanted to point out is the multimodal project was pushed back a lot, the final payment on that, and that's roughly 900 some thousand. So that's part of the reason that our cash is higher than expected. So you factor that in, are right where we expect to be. The one thing I wanted to point out is on that previous slide, you can go back to that one, so that at the bottom, that easements, that's net of broker commissions. We have to pay the commission. So after commissions, it was 264. It wasn't 264 of easement after we paid for the commission. So
Which easement sale was that?
Darren can give you more detail.
That was part of the Rockefeller sale, so that was the stormwater easement to go with the lot 5.
There were no commissions directly on the easement.
No, that was actually on the real estate transaction.
The commissions would have been on the agreements.
Right.
That's just a net.
The
Net of
easement
against
had
that.
no commissions.
Easement, correct. The easement didn't have it. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, and I think Eddie kind of highlighted, we had 5 snow events in January. We had 4 in 2017. So snow is always a big deal for us. And now, because of the multimodal area, we have more public area to kind of manage. So again, we did a great job even with the 5 snow events. So any questions?
So that concludes our report.
Any questions for Ed?
I just had a quick question on the intermodal operation. Will that ever become a profit center for us, based on the ticket sales and things that the bus collects out there?
Not likely.
Want to address that, Darren?
I mean, I guess in concept it potentially could, but it's not likely. I mean, it was never really built as a profit center. You know, it was built as an amenity, I would say, for customer experience. So the money that we get offsets costs.
Parking revenue
more than
won't
anything.
offset.
Yeah, the money that we're getting for the handling, transportation, those, like I said, it's basically, it offsets costs, but I don't see it ever becoming profitable.
Have a motion to accept the treasury report?
So moved.
Want a second? Second. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Eddie, again, thank you. Phenomenal report, and I think about the difference we had between 3 or 4 years ago and the data we get today, and I'm glad that you and Todd are a good team. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
We didn't welcome Tom with very much enthusiasm, so welcome. As far as executive committee report, really nothing to report other than John Hayes has accepted the challenge as chairing our nominating committee. We'll come
Yeah,
back
thanks,
to-
Mike, I appreciate that. Nominating committee is going to meet after this meeting. So we've
Right.
had a couple of conversations, offline conversations over the last couple of weeks, but start the formal process today, and we expect to be back to the Board of Governors with a slate of recommendations at the next meeting.
Right, so at March, the committee will present its report. At April, we'll have the opportunity to elect officers for the coming year.
Right.
Any questions about that? Excellent. Finance and Capital Planning Committee, John?
Okay, thank you, Mike. We've got 3 items on the agenda today that were recommended for approval at the Board of Governors. There was no formal action taken at the Finance Committee meeting because we did not have a quorum at that meeting. So it comes with a recommendation, full recommendation of those in attendance, but not a formal motion. So the first one on the agenda is the award of the bid for the installation of the Queen City Monument sign. Troy?
So, just briefly, we did go out to bid for replacing the monument sign over at Queen City, which is on Lehigh Street prior to coming into the airport. Most of you probably know the existing sign is pretty old, faded, ugly. Yep.
Bad PR.
So this is kind of the engineering drawing that we have. We're going to get a rendering put together once we get the submittals in and the award. But the silver blue theme, like we have on all of our other signs, Queen City logo, backlit as well to really pronounce the airport. But as part of this award, if you want to just go back to the summary, it does include demolition of the old sign, getting rid of it, putting in a new foundation for the new sign, new electric, running all that as well. We did receive 5 bids, which is very good for this project, with KC Sign Company being the lowest bid, around $64,000. Just as a note, and we did talk with the judge about Bergen Sign Company as non-responsive. They didn't fill out or sign any of our required forms, nor did they agree to addendums 2 and 3, which was a big proponent of the actual sign design and layout that you saw. So I went through everything. Everything else looks good, so we're just looking for award of that contract for KC Sign Company.
All right. We have a motion to award the Queen City Monument sign bid contract.
So moved.
John, second?
Second.
Eddie, any discussion? Glad to have that change. That's been something that's been on the agenda for a long time. We're glad to have it done. All those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Yes. Excellent, terrific.
Okay, next on the agenda for the Finance Capital Committee is approval of the Queen City ground lease with Riverview LLC, AKA TED. Darren?
Thank you, sir. So yes, we have a 25-year ground lease we're looking for approval for hangar development at Queen City with Vertiview LLC. As he said, that's Ted's company. Basic terms, 25-year term, initial rate's 34 cents a square foot. CPI increases. At the end of the term, the building becomes property of the authority. Overall, I think this is something we've been working on this for a while as well, and we came to a very good compromise on a lot of terms between Ted and the authority, and certainly recommend approval.
This had the enthusiastic recommendation of the Finance Committee. Everyone is very much in favor of moving forward in this regard.
All right. So John, will you move that on behalf of the committee?
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Second, all right. Any discussion? Ted, you'll recuse yourself from voting on the issue?
Yes.
No, I didn't have to say that, but for the record, I think it's probably appropriate. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? And one abstention. So the minutes will note the abstention.
Okay.
Ted,
Then
thank you very much. This is exciting,
Yeah.
and it's something we've been, again, one more thing that's coming together that we're really thrilled about.
Very excited myself. Thank you.
Okay, and then last on the section regarding Finance Committee meeting is approval of the Braden Flight School permit and ProFlight Aero Services lease, or operation, I should say, Darren?
Sure, thank you, sir. So again, pretty excited about this one as well. As we all know, we've been looking at attracting some business down to Braden. Mr. Newman Salim is a local businessman, been a pilot here, tenant here for a long time, interested in getting into the flight school business. So we did some work back and forth with him, reviewed his business plan and everything. Seems to have a solid plan. Looking forward to it. So it'll be a 1-year initial term with 1-year extension if he decides to exercise that. We are going to give him a 3-month incentive, as given the hangar for the first 3 months as an incentive to get in there. Initial monthly rent is $338. Once the hangar kicks in, it's $1,290 a month, 3% increases, and everything he does will have to conform to our flight school minimum standards. He also pays a $1,300 annual permit fee. So I think this is a great first step for Braden to kind of jumpstart some things down there, get some things moving. So we're looking forward to getting a flight school in place.
John, on
on
behalf
that.
of the committee?
So
How many
moved.
aircraft?
He's probably starting out with 2. He has to start with a minimum of 2. That's in our minimum standard. So he'll have to start off
We
with.
need a second before we can discuss, so. Have a
sorry.
second?
Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We need,
Yeah, so basically he has to have at least 2 aircraft. So he would have, they have to have at least 1 basic trainer and 1 something complex. So something with retractable gear. And from there, I know he's got plans of potentially a twin at some point in time, but I think he's got to start somewhere. So.
What buildings? Buildings?
So he'll be in hangar 3, and then the office core where our folks are using currently. He'll be taking the majority of that office space, and then the hangar
All of
3, and all of hangar 3. So
any other discussion?
Is there, just a quick question, is there any requirement for him to get his operation going within a certain amount of time and acquire aircraft, or is it somewhat?
it's not in the permit as that. I mean, I know his plan is to be up and running by April 1. You know, we can certainly put a qualifier in the permit that says, you know, if he's not operational within 60 days of signing or something, that we have the right to terminate. That probably is
Probably
appropriate.
worthwhile to do.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, I think that
something
makes
to
sense.
consider, 'cause you
So
never
yeah,
know.
we'll,
I mean,
we'll
he
add
might-
that.
So with that addendum,
Oh, amendment, yep.
you'll
Yeah, no,
add.
that's a good idea.
Brian?
Just out of curiosity, at one point there was another interested party. Are there any others that have been serious?
No one else has been serious. We actually have another inquiry from somebody else about potentially doing maintenance and some other things, but that we haven't vetted yet. That just sort of came up yesterday, so.
Okay.
But the one that we had been, the other problem you were talking about, has seemed to have dropped off at this point, their interest, so.
Okay, yeah, I was curious, because at one point there was another,
Yep,
at least batting the idea around.
yeah. But it doesn't seem that there's anybody else that's really, sort of ready to move forward at this point in time.
Let's say we made remarkable progress in the past 24 months at Braden. So again, to those of you who have driven that, thank you very much. That's been important to us. So we have a motion on the floor with a second. All those in favor of the permit, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's amazing how you fall back into habit. I was doing real well with yes till we got to this point. So, any opposed? No, thank you very much. I think that concludes the business of the meeting. But Tom, no longer says interim director, the director's report. So Tom's out.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. In terms of the air service, we talked about our increase for January. We're happy to start the year off on that positive note, so thanks, Ed, for talking a little bit about that trend. As a follow-on to last meeting, we did have a Fear of Flying seminar that took place on February 12th. I think we had 19 attendees, so hopefully maybe 19 new customers. So we'll see how that plays. In terms of upcoming events, currently we have a TSA pre-check enrollment center. That's running now through March 9th. And at this point, we've already processed over 5,600 applicants through our enrollment centers here. So we're excited to be able to do that here, and obviously a lot of interest.
I did mine, it's a very smooth process.
Yeah,
I was
really
in and out
easy.
in about 5 minutes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Super. I did want to mention we have in Novus a copy of our 2017 accomplishments, about 150 different items broken out by our strategic focus areas. A few accomplishments, and I won't go through all of those, but please take time to review those if you have questions. We think it's a great list, and I'd like to thank the team, so a round of applause for that. Everything that was accomplished last year. In other news, we did attend a air cargo conference in Austin, Texas, so got some good information at that conference, which we think will be helpful for our operation here. We did receive both of our pieces of snow removal equipment that we received a grant for, so $1.2 million worth of snow removal equipment, LNAA share $61,000. So we're excited to have those pieces of equipment here and in service. And last but not least, we did receive a glowing review from Pennsylvania State Police on our annual comprehensive audit of our police department. Two very minor discrepancies that were able to be corrected the same day. So well done to our police department. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Colin tells me that when we made the announcement of the new executive director of the airport, that it did not hit the web for us, or did not hit the video. So for the purposes of the meeting, I'm pleased to announce that the authority by unanimous vote has elected Tom Stout to be the executive director of Lehigh Northampton Airport Authority, and that a committee is working with him to establish achievables for the coming year. Now we can plug for the solicitor has a issue for us.
Just very briefly, your annual statement of financial interests and airport's conflict of interest form are due by May 1st. So if you haven't turned them in already, please turn them in this so that.
And they are available online. You can register for that online and download the document, so it's an easy process. Any other issues that we ought to be addressing?
Nope, that's it. Easy today.
All right. Is there any new business for us to bring to the table? We have no need for a secondary executive session. So, on a high note, let us have a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
So moved.
So moved. Very good. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, I tried to verify with